Story 1. Work on your health now while it is easier. It becomes more challenging as you age. We think we are invincible when we are young, but time catches up faster than you expect. Eliminate bad habits now. Story 2. Health, savings, and real friendships matter far more than chasing status or trying to please everyone. Story 3. Someone posting a question on Reddit every month makes me feel like I am a hard sneeze away from the grave. Story 4. As someone who just turned 40, I wish I had learned earlier that networking is not schmoozing at boring events. It is genuinely about caring for people and staying in touch. The best opportunities came from random coffee catch-ups, not LinkedIn posts. Story 5. Take high blood pressure seriously. Don't ignore it. I had a stroke in my late 30s, and it ruined my life. Story 6. As a 33-year-old, here is what I'm taking away after about 40 minutes. Hopefully you have taken care of your health already. If not, take the time to get serious about it now. Pay attention to issues from sitting all day, posture, flexibility, and soreness. Try taking more walking and stretching breaks or practicing yoga. Relationships are more important than impressing strangers. It is easy to feel like you should live up to others' expectations, but spend time on people who show up for you. Save money, but also remember to live. Death does not care about your plans. If you feel down about your life, start reaching out now and keep reaching out until you find where you belong. If you are still surviving on pizza and beer, that approach will not last. Story 7. Take the vacation by the hot tub, eat at the nice restaurant. I have seen far too many people save up all of their money for retirement, only to die in their late 50s or early 60s before they can enjoy it. They worked their entire lives saving for a future that never arrived. Story 8. Do not make major decisions because you think you are supposed to, such as getting married or having children. There is a lot of pressure in your 30s to reach these milestones. Do what makes you happy. Story 9. Buy a few nice things. Retirement is not guaranteed. That hot tub is worth getting now. Maintaining one in your 60s is less enjoyable. Many serious cancers and other diseases often appear between ages 45 and 60. If you want to see Hawaii or Europe and not be an older person, now is the time. Do your best in your career, but realize that for many companies being in your 40s means you are running out of steam. They often prefer a 32-year-old with no children who can relocate across the country. If you had been more aggressive about advancing, you likely would have reached that position long ago. Story 10. How much I would hate myself and where I am at in my early 40s. Story 11. If you have a job, do it well and take pride in your work, but know that, unless you are in a job that saves lives, what you do does not matter. Embrace your inner Spaniard and work to live. Hank and his urgent Excel issue can wait. Story 12. I wish I had known that so many of my friends would die in their 40s. I would have pushed them harder to slow it down. Young people, do not push yourself so hard when you reach your 40s. Trust me. Story 13. Spend more time with Dad. This is your last decade to do so. Story 14. It is okay to say no. Do not waste your time on things you are not 100% on board with. This includes people. Do the right thing and the money will follow. I am a realtor and I earn 100% commission. This may sound cheesy, but when Taylor Swift appeared on the New Heights podcast, she talked about treating your energy as valuable, protecting it, and being selective about who you let use it. Find and watch that clip. She is 100% right, and that idea can be hard to accept. Story 15. Take the vacation. Cherish your friends. Nurture friendships that are worth your time, and end those that are not. Story 16. I am 60 now. My 40s were my favorite decade because I felt prettiest, most vibrant, and fiercest at work. I also had ample money and financial security. My 30s were difficult. I went through a nasty divorce and had to start financially from scratch after the dot-com bust. I noticed my first wrinkles and gray hairs in my 30s, but none of that worsened until my 50s, when I went through menopause. I wish someone had told me that I had time to save and build wealth. This is a time when you will never be younger, so enjoy it. Wear sunscreen, not just on your face. Apply it to your neck and chest every day, even in winter. As for that relationship, maybe it is okay to divorce. Second marriages can still accumulate many anniversaries. We may not reach 50 years, but we are both much happier, and we have already been together twice as long as the first marriage. I had my children in my late 20s. They are in their early 30s, and I am about to be a grandmother. If you want children, have them now. There is no requirement to have them, but the biological clock is real. Around 50, menopause and male menopause, sometimes called andropause, are real. They are not to be feared. Happiness can soar while skin may sag. Keep exercising. I lift weights, hike, and walk. Eat well. Everyone should do that at any age. Story 17. Cherish the good people you meet and try to keep in touch with them. It becomes harder later on. Story 18. Prepare a fallback career or source of income because you never know when your occupation will go through hard times. Story 19. Invest in your friendships. Make the call, set up that dinner, and visit that friend. The circle shrinks as we get older. What makes a great friendship? Shared experiences, vulnerability, and time together. Your friends in your 20s and 30s will mean even more to you in your 40s. Story 20. How much good could yoga do for me, and when should I start? Story 21. I wish I had known how fast my vision would deteriorate so I could have read more things up close before I started needing reading glasses. Story 22. Buy stocks, get a financial planner, pay more than your minimum monthly mortgage payment, get an American Express card, never lease a car, choose life. Story 23. I wish I had stopped drinking sooner. It was a complete turnover of family and friends. I am working somewhere else now. It is a whole new, fantastic life, and I wish I had embraced it sooner. Story 24. Stop trying to please everyone. It's exhausting and leads to reduced self-worth and depression. I wish I had taken better care of myself. Story 25. As an early 30-year-old lurking in subreddits for people in their 30s and 40s, remember that everyone has their own life and they do not really care about what you do. Do whatever you want, never feel ashamed, and do not think about how others may judge you. Story 26. No matter how unlikely it may seem, women and men in their 40s and 50s will be far more attractive than the 20-somethings you fantasize about. Story 27. Avoid alcohol. Lose weight. Give up all bad habits. Eat a healthy diet. Calcium buildup in the arteries is a real concern. Start running, cycling, or swimming. Travel. Spend money on experiences, not on things. Keep learning. Play an instrument or learn other languages. Stay flexible. Take up yoga and stretch regularly. Remove toxic people from your life. If you do not like yourself or what you have built, start from scratch now. Story 28. Your metabolism will not last. You must work for it now. Story 29. Stretch daily. Drink lots of water. Take care of yourself. Story 30. Start doing yoga at least once a week. It makes you look younger in terms of posture and helps prevent the back injuries that many men experience in their 40s. Story 31. The happiest you'll ever be is on your own. It's not scary. It's liberating and joyful. Story 32. Most of what you think you know in your late teens and early 20s comes from an idealized perspective. When you carry those beliefs into the real world, be aware that you may have to bend or even break some principles to achieve your goals. Story 33. I really should have taken more advantage of compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world. Story 34. You are still quite young, even if you feel older than you did in your 20s. This is the time to put the hammer down if you can, to advance your career. Story 35. Live simply. Stay out of debt. Invest early and let your investments grow. Story 36. Some people do not like you, and they never will. Stop trying to please everyone. Story 37. Single mothers in their 40s are called cougars for a reason. Story 38. If you plan to live in a new country, do it now. Visa restrictions tend to increase as you get older, making relocation harder. Story 39. Just because you feel healthy and have a great sex life doesn't mean you're fertile. Story 40. In your 40s, you start thinking about retirement more. Open a Roth individual retirement account and maximize contributions to both your 401k employer-sponsored retirement plan, at least up to the employer match, and your Roth account each year. These are things you rarely thought about in your 20s and 30s. Story 41. Everything is temporary. Your job, your savings, your relationships, your family, your health. Do not put all your eggs in one basket and be open to different experiences. Story 42. Health is all that matters. Money will come only when you are mentally, physically, and spiritually healthy. Start practicing making each of those aspects efficient and optimized in your 30s. The healthy man wants 1,000 things, but the sick man only wants one. Story 43. You do not have to achieve anything or push so hard to have a purpose. Hustle culture is an illusion meant to keep you afraid. The point of life is simply to live it, so stop setting traps for yourself. Float and try things. Story 44. For women, collagen starts to break down in your 20s, so be mindful and consider eating an anti-inflammatory diet early to help with hormone regulation. Story 45. Take the trip. Wear the dress. Apply sunscreen if you will be outdoors. Story 46. Getting what you want mainly comes down to vision, consistency, and persistence. Story 47. Women, don't quit work to be a stay-at-home mom. It really is a long con. Story 48. Don't worry that you're still unmarried. It is far better to be single than to force the issue. Social pressure and personal insecurity make people do things they later regret. Story 49. Not all battles are worth fighting. In my 30s, I wasted too much energy trying to prove points and holding on to things that only drained me. Peace of mind is far more valuable. Story 50. Sleep, diet, and exercise affect you much more in your 40s. I wish I had treated my body less like a rental car in my 30s. Story 51. Learn to save and live on less. I used to like working. No problem, I could handle the overtime. I lived well and began saving late. But one day you start to get tired. I thought I would still retire by 65, but if I had been in better financial shape, I could have left the workforce by 60. I could still have had fun without many possessions or luxuries. I am fortunate, but I often talk to newcomers and ask, how long do you want to be available to respond when work calls and asks for more? Story 52. Maintaining a marriage is really hard work. Any of your natural talents that may have attracted your partner's attention while dating, such as charm, good looks, and humor, become meaningless after 10 years and having children. Story 53. Two things in particular. 1. You are no longer young and you will feel it. It is not just the physical changes. You will feel it in the world too. In your 30s, you are not far removed from your 20s. In your 40s, you could easily be the parent of a 20-year-old. 2. Most of your friendships are gone. A few good ones will remain. Identify those early and invest in them, because making new friends in your 40s is really hard. Story 54. 1. Maintain your health, including your teeth. Health is easier to maintain than to restore. 2. Don't fall for timelines for marriage, children, buying a home, and so on. Do these things when you're ready, you have time. Don't rush or feel like you need to compete. 3. Don't be afraid to change jobs or careers. You're still young enough to try again and again. 4. Keep making new friends even if you have a core group. Friendships change the most in your 30s. 5. Do weight training. Your mind and body will thank you. Story 55. Focus on strength training rather than cardio. Story 56. I bought Nvidia, but I should have bought more. Story 57. When you get here, you still will not be ready to see your parents, aunts, and uncles deteriorate and eventually pass away. You should stretch more. Story 58. Pay off your debts and save regularly for retirement. Take advantage of a 401k retirement plan or an equivalent employer-sponsored retirement plan if your employer offers it. Consistent savings, even small amounts, add up over time because compound interest works in your favor. Story 59. You will never feel better than you do right now. That will be true every year from now on. Story 60. I really wish I had worn earplugs to all those heavy metal concerts and raves. I can already tell I am going to need hearing aids sooner or later. Story 61. The small things that stress you out will change, but the stress accumulates in your body. There is a good chance you are living the best years of your life right now, so try to enjoy them by building traditions of activities you enjoy. It does not get easier to set time aside for those activities when you are more locked into life in your 40s. Start a fitness and healthy living routine right away. You can get away with less and less as you age. Things start to hurt, and the pain will not heal or disappear in your late 40s the way it does in your 30s. Work on your mind, meditate, go to therapy, and do yoga. Those chips on your shoulder become a heavy weight to carry if you do not find a way to address them. Story 62. The stock market is risky and can feel manipulated by the wealthy, but you can ride the waves by following a simple plan. Try to save as much as you can in a low-cost exchange-traded fund, such as the Standard & Poor's 500, or in a global fund such as Vanguard Total World Stock or Vanguard FTSE All World. Do not worry about short-term news or the prices of gold, Bitcoin, oil, housing, or reports of bank failures and wars. Let the power of compounding work while you sleep. Take a little time to learn what to do when you are about 5 years from retirement, then shift some of your holdings into bonds or other lower-risk assets. It may seem too easy, and you may wonder why everyone does not do it. Many people are following similar strategies, but you can still build your own liquid assets on top of that by following this method. Story 63. You're only a 2 or 3 year depressive episode away from feeling like a total stranger to everyone you see and socialize with. Look after your mental health. You can't keep burning the candle at both ends, and if you haven't figured out how to do that by now, it's going to catch up with you. Story 64. Take care of your back. Stretch daily and keep moving. Do not become sedentary. If you do not exercise now, it will be much harder later. Eat well and avoid bad habits. Story 65. If you're still single in your 40s and people can't tell why, they will often assume the worst about you, especially if you're white and male. Story 66. Buy index funds instead of individual stocks if you do not have time for day trading. Story 67. Prioritize your sleep, health, and fitness. Things start to fall apart quickly in your 40s. Story 68. Start taking better care of your skin. Get a wrinkle cream now. If someone who loves and cares about you asks how you are, do not say fine or okay if you're not. Let them in. Save your fine and okay responses for casual acquaintances, not your inner circle. Story 69. A. Focus on finances. Prepare a plan to build wealth and save for retirement. B. Prepare to support your parents while raising your children. Both are hard jobs. C. Focus on your career. Watch industry trends, position yourself in growth areas, and set yourself up for the next 30 years. Remember, your education got you where you are now, but the choices you make in your 30s will position you for the next phase until retirement. D. While doing the above, focus on health and build good habits. Your body can take more stress in your 30s, but it becomes harder in your 40s. Sounds like a lot, but believe me, you have the energy in your 30s to do all of these. Good luck. Story 70. Your 40s are going to be tough. It is the saddest period of your life on average. When you are tempted to change your house, your job, or your partner, think very carefully. It is likely a mistake. Story 71. Alcohol is preventing you from reaching your full potential. Story 72. I get far more attention wearing cheap, plain old navy shirts that fit well on my fit body than I did when I spent more money on designer clothes to wrap around my unfit body. Get in shape. Look strong, feel strong. Don't ignore red flags in a relationship. Relationships rarely improve when they have 1 or 2 core issues that affect one partner. Story 73. When it comes to your health, it is much harder to start over than to keep going. Keep exercising, even if it is walking a half mile instead of running 2 miles. Keep eating better, even if that means leaving a little on your plate to cut back. Set up and keep dentist and doctor appointments. Rescheduling for 4 months later is better than skipping for a year or more. Get and stay consistent with your health. Story 74. I wish I knew how health anxiety can begin one day in your mid-40s when you see people your age develop cancer and other health problems and begin to worry about every ache and rash. I wish I had stayed consistent with exercise rather than being on and off, because it is harder to resume after a break. Story 75. Compound interest is real. I wish I had invested even small amounts earlier. Story 76. 1. Get rid of bad habits as early as possible, such as smoking, alcohol, poor diet, late-night eating, and so on. 2. Exercise every day if you can. 3. Get an annual physical examination and make it a standard practice. 4. Eliminate people who do not contribute meaningfully to your life. Protect your space and energy vigorously. 5. 98% of people you call friends are not truly friends. Let them go without a second thought and cherish the ones who remain. 6. Do not stay in a workplace that slowly erodes your well-being. There are plenty of other jobs available. 7. Once you turn 40, you will take a serious inventory of your life. One day you may be driving alone and everything will click, possibly bringing tears to your eyes. Get ready. Story 77. When your dentist suggests a night guard, get the professionally made kind, not the pharmacy boil and bite. Grinding your teeth down makes people look a lot older. Once you notice it, it is hard not to see. You may also avoid potentially thousands of dollars in dental work. Story 78. Get help. Not just therapy. You do need the medication. Story 79. As someone just under 30 years old, this will be a good read. Story 80. I was abruptly forced to awaken to an awareness of things I never needed to know, and I did not know how to recover because no one I was connected to shared that experience. Where I ended up was not suitable. Some people fully understand and share that awareness. Others find it incomprehensible, label it, and cannot see their own insignificance as they play into it. It is like refusing an altered reality while seeing that many people move through life with little depth of thought. I wish I had known how to avoid being so alone. I might have prepared better, but I do not believe I was connected to anyone I was meant to spend my life with. Story 81. If I had known this country was going to go to hell, I would have been fixated on getting out of here. Story 82. You are probably not fat, and the people trying to convince you you are fat have a lot of issues that have nothing to do with you. Story 83. The girl I walked away from was my last chance at true happiness. I realized that pretty quickly afterward, but what I really needed was to realize it before I walked away. Story 84. Stretch and move around once in a while. Otherwise, everything will hurt in a decade. Story 85. The Triffin dilemma is becoming more acute. Invest accordingly. Story 86. If you have sciatica, nothing else will matter. Story 87. If it is not working out with your spouse, it never will. Get out now. Story 88. This is more for people in their 60s. What do you wish you had known in your 40s? Be humble. That 60-year-old cashier probably had a higher-paying job but was let go and is just trying to fill the gap. In my 40s, I take note when layoffs happen and older employees are forced into early retirement. Story 89. Invest. Find a service like Dub and earn extra money. Story 90. How much my lifestyle choices were affecting my quality of life and how easy it was to change them. Story 91. They said that the 2020s would be difficult and advised enjoying the 2010s more. Story 92. That the 50s would come next. I did not really understand that as I exited my 30s. Story 93. Hangovers hit harder, recovery is slower, and flexibility fades, but you can offset this if you start taking care of yourself now. Story 94. Unless you have an underlying mental illness or it runs in the family, do shrooms. Even better, learn to grow them. Story 95. When you are in your 40s, people rarely speak to you, and you feel you no longer fit into society. Story 96. You are not supposed to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. That is far worse than doing nothing. You cannot save everyone. You can only save yourself and live well enough for the sake of those dear to you. Story 97. Staying fit becomes easier when you reduce your sugar intake. Story 98. My main point is the long-term benefits of sunscreen. although recent news from Australia makes that hard to believe. Story 99. The hangovers would soon last longer than the parties. Story 100. If she says she does not want to stay married and is already checked out, believe her. Life is too short to be the only person putting energy into saving a marriage or relationship. Story 101. Bitcoin is whatever he prices it at today. I remember when it was less than 1,000. Story 102. Working hard and working smart are different. Hard work alone will get you nowhere without smart work. Story 103. Build savings and avoid all debt. I did some of this, but I could have done more. Turning 40 could have been easy. It is not bad now, but it could be much better. Story 104. Compounding interest on your money and investments, plus patience. Story 105. Stretch, maximize your individual retirement account contributions, and do a bit of cardio. It never hurts. Story 106. You can explore, travel, and find yourself even in your 40s and 50s. I spent all of my money on traveling and focusing on myself when I should have bought a home and concentrated on saving and investing. That would have made the biggest difference, and I am trying to make up for lost time now that the world and the economy are struggling. Story 107. How good being in your 40s is. I was a bit worried about getting older, especially when my 40th birthday was coming up. But life is so much nicer now because you handle things better. There's a wisdom there that wasn't before. I'm calmer, I'm happier, and I feel more joy in simple things. You're in a better position to help people around you. Providing care and guidance to younger people is a beautiful thing. It's wonderful. You have to go through it to get there. That's the nature of it. I'm actually looking forward to my 50s now. If the magnitude of change stays the same, I'm going to be such a good human being. Getting older is a great thing and you'll love it. Story 108. No matter how hard you try at your craft, some people will never think you are good enough. This is usually due to their own insecurities and biases and has nothing to do with you. I have had several colleagues tell me that I should not be labeled with the same title they hold, despite having the same achievements. Keep going. Story 109. People who party too hard in their 20s and 30s are likely to develop serious addiction issues in their 40s if they do not change their behavior. The resulting health effects will begin to appear. Be kind to your liver. Story 110. There is nothing wrong with not finding a life partner or spouse by a certain age. I did not meet my wife until I was 36. I had relationships before, but I was not happy in them and refused to settle. Do not settle. Story 111. It's all going to be okay. You are stronger and more capable than you think. Loss does not mean the end. Saying yes and being present opens up a world of magic and opportunity. You are loved much more than you realize. Story 112. Love and respect yourself. When you feel unhappy for some time, address it as soon as you can. Time is precious. You only need the courage to change things in your life and move. The longer you stay stuck, the more difficult it becomes to get out of that state. Always move forward toward what makes you and your life better. Learn to invest in yourself and act on what you learn. If you have the opportunity, have children. They are a pure joy, and you will grow with them. Story 113. Make regular exercise and healthy eating a habit. Focus on living longer and remaining functional in old age rather than on appearance. It is much harder to start later, and when your six-pack does not look like it did in your 20s and 30s, it is easier to give up. Story 114. I'm 45. Listen to your body. I started lifting hardcore at 19 and continued until my late 30s. The diet, training, supplementation, and more take their toll as you enter your 40s. Is your lower back a bit sore? Take care of it. Joint pain? Skip whatever would aggravate it. Start thinking about quality of life. Having abs is not that important. Story 115. Plan your superannuation. Consider making additional contributions. Understand compound interest and invest in exchange-traded funds. Story 116. You will watch your parents age and your children grow up at the same time. You will feel your heart pulled toward mortality and will miss the days of changing diapers. You will likely be the most unhappy you have ever been, so focus on what it means to be fulfilled. Story 117. I am still in my 30s, but I have always focused on working very hard now so I can pay off a house and not have to work as hard later to stay afloat. Both of my parents are still working because of debts and a mortgage, and I have seen a lot of people in the same situation. Spend money wisely. I am seen as boring and a workaholic, but I have no debt and am close to buying a house after saving for 5 years. It has definitely not been easy. Life only gets harder as you get older, so do what you can now. I did not go to college and could not see myself in the medical field, law, technology, office work, or finance. My interests and hobbies that could become careers are extremely competitive or poorly paid, and I was tired of being poor at 25. Sometimes you must make sacrifices for a decent life, and many people my age, unless they come from a successful family, do not understand or have not realized that. Story 118. I did not know my dad would not be there in my 40s. I would have returned to the oil field if I had known he could not afford his diabetes medications and insurance. Story 119. We all know it, but I still wish I had taken better care of my body. It is harder to lose weight and heal in this decade. Story 120. Many of the things you like now are about to become boring. Many other things are about to become enjoyable. Do not fight it. Story 121. Spend every second you can with loved ones. They won't always be there. Story 122. I would have left the United States before having children and established a life abroad if I had known Trump would become president. It is bad over here. Story 123. I did not realize how fast my 30s would go by. All I did in the 2010s was work and care for sick relatives. I lost and then regained 100 pounds. Story 124. I'm really sorry you're feeling this way. Are you safe right now? If you are in immediate danger, please call your local emergency number or a crisis line now. In the US, call 988 or text HOME to 741,741. If you are outside the US, contact your local emergency services or a local suicide prevention hotline. Everything gets worse, and nothing will ever get better. Even the things you imagine decline. There is no better future and no hope. There is only an endless downward spiral until I die sooner rather than later. Life should stop at 35. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.